Good morning, grade 5s, and welcome to yet another NST lesson. And today we are going to be looking at uses of metal. And I'm sure you've realized that in my past 2 videos I have not posted any memos or answers for the previous activities. This is because it takes up a lot of space. So you are going to find all your answers on the D6 and on email. Okay. So before we move on with today's work, I just want to have a quick recap on what we have covered so far. We've spoken about the ore, which is the type of rock that contains minerals or metals. And we said this is the rock in its natural state before it is processed. We've spoken about the properties of metals, and we said that they are sonorous, they are strong, they're malleable, ductile, good conductors of heat and electricity, they are shiny, they have luster, and so on. We have also spoken about the fact that some metals are magnetic, not all of them, and our magnetic metals are iron, cobalt, and nickel. We have spoken about the fact that iron is the only metal that rusts if it is exposed to weather elements. For example, if you expose your iron to oxygen and water or moisture, your iron is going to rust. Steel is a byproduct of iron, which means that it is made from iron, and it will also rust if it is not protected. We also spoke about metals that tarnish. They get this dull appearance if they're exposed to weather elements. For example, your brass, if you clean it, then it gets its luster back. We also spoke about gold, and we said gold does not rust, neither does it tarnish. Okay, it is a very soft metal, and in order to protect our metal, because it's very soft, and it's not the only metal that we protect, remember, we can also mix the gold with other metals, and we call these alloys. Okay, so once you have mixed 2 or more metals together, we call that an alloy. So if you mix your gold with your silver and your copper and your aluminium, then you are creating an alloy of gold. Okay, and then we also spoke about ways of protecting these metals. We said we can coat the metals by covering them with plastic. For example, your paper clips. We can paint the surfaces to protect the metal, like your cars, for example, are made out of iron. The body of the car is made out of iron, and then you paint over it so to protect the car from rusting. You can also plate metals. When you're plating, you are covering a metal with another metal. Your corrugated iron sheets, for example, are made out of iron, and then you and then you plate them with zinc. You cover a metal with another metal to stop it from disintegrating or breaking down. So today's lesson, like I said, is going to be on uses of metal, and I'm going to list quite a number of items that I see in this room, and you're going to tell me which room I'm in. Okay, so metals are very important, and they are used in a variety of items. So in this room that I'm in, I can see a door handle, I can see a key, lampshade, shoe buckle, belt buckle, coat hanger, mattress springs. Well, I can't see the springs, but I can feel the springs. And then window frame, picture frame, intercom phone wire. In which room am I in? Well done if you said bedroom. Okay, but can you see how many items are made out of metal just in one room? I want you to look around wherever you are and make a list of everything that you see that is made out of metal. So a lot of items around us are made out of metal, and metal is very important. And I can try, but I'm failing to imagine a world with no metals. Okay, so metals are used in a variety or in a lot of industries. You'll find metals in the building industry, in your transport industry, in industries themselves, and then you're going to find metals used for decorative items or ornaments, and in our everyday, in items that we use every day. Okay, so it's very important that we look after our metals. Let's now break this down. I'm going to deal with each item individually so that you see the importance of metal in each industry. So we'll start with the building. Iron is used in construction. Steel is very strong. So the skyscrapers, can you see the skyscraper here? It's full of metal. Without metal, this building would not stand. So we need our steel and our iron when we build. And then we have pylons. Pylons are these structures here that bring electricity to our home. That hold up the wires that bring electricity to our homes. And these structures have got to be strong because they've got to withstand all the weather elements, and we don't want to be replacing them over and over again. So we use iron and steel to make these items. Okay. Then the rooftops are made of corrugated iron sheets. We've spoken about that, and that is metal. Even in your wall, you've got some kind of metal. I'm sure you've seen this wire at Builder's Warehouse. We call it the brick force. Okay, the brick force is used to strengthen the wall, and it stops it from collapsing. So if you build and you do not put this brick force here, your building is going to collapse. So the building industry will not function without metals. Okay, our next one is this transport industry. The transport industry uses a lot of metals. As you can see, this is an engine, and then an engine is found in cars, and cars are part of transport. So without metal, then we will not have cars. And I'm sure you can see that this engine here is starting to rust. It's been taken out of the car and it's been exposed to weather elements. Can you see the rust coming out there? So it's not protected. And then here you've got a bicycle, and this bicycle is made out of aluminium. This is a very expensive bicycle. You can have a bicycle which is made out of iron and steel. That one will be quite cheap compared to this aluminium one. Okay, and it's made out of aluminium because aluminium doesn't rust, and the bicycle is always outside, so obviously it's going to be exposed to weather elements, and you need to make sure that you use material that will not rust. And then steel alloys are used in trains and ships. So these industries use a lot of metal as well. So without metal, all the trains and the ships will not be able to construct those. Look at this one here. There's rust coming through as well, made out of iron. The paint is coming off, and then the metal is starting to disintegrate to an extent that this has actually fallen off, and you can actually see through there now. So it's very important that we look after our metals because we use them in the transport industry. We also have an aircraft there. Remember, we said aluminium was a very light metal and it doesn't rust. So it is used in our aircraft industries, and an aircraft, of course, is part of transport, and we use the aluminium, but aluminium on its own is too soft, so you would need an alloy of it. So you have lots of alloys there that make the aircraft. We don't want our aircraft to be heavy as well because it's got to take off. That's why we use aluminium mostly there, because it is a light metal. Okay, then we move on to just ordinary industries. The industries use a lot of material and they use metal. Okay, so look at this machine. It's a very big machine. Can you see? This is a person there, but look how big those machines are. They're all made out of iron and steel, and we cannot function without these metals. Okay, the tools that the workers use in this industry also are also made out of iron and steel. Okay, so there are your spanners there. These are some of the tools that they use in industries. Okay, then we also have our decorative items, which are items like your the stuff that you use to display things, your jewelry and all these are also made out of metal. So can you see the importance of metal? These metals will not be able to survive without these. And then everyday items, life would be difficult without metal. And I'm sure some of you have left a spoon at home, and when it's time to go to break, you open your lunch and you've left the spoon, and you walk around, ma'am, do you have a spare spoon for me? Life becomes difficult just because of a spoon. So everyday items, we are using metal, whether we like it or we don't. Coins, the tap that you open, the knife, water pipes that bring the copper water pipes that bring water into your home. So you are constantly using metals, and at times we're not even aware that we are using these. Metals are very important, and it is our duty to look after them by polishing them, by plating them, coating them, so that they last longer. Okay, so this is our lesson for today on the uses of metal. So as homework, I want you to do your corrections as usual in pencil, and then in your platinum textbook on page 81, you are going to do activity 7. But before you do activity 7, I need you to read page 80 and page 81 first, and then do the activity. I hope now you realize the importance of metals and the need for us to look after our metals so that they last longer and they do not rust. Have a good day. Goodbye.